President Muhammadu Buhari condemns the dastardly attack by Boko Haram terrorists on UN aid helicopter in the northeast. Nigerian military says Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole destroyed the dwellings of Boko Haram terrorist leaders at Parisu and Kula Bello in the Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. And cases of missing children gets the attention of the top level of government in Kano State. This and more on Panorama today with me, Ian John. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned what he calls a dastardly attack by Boko Haram terrorists on UN aid helicopter in the northeast, describing it as cowardly and yet another desperate rearguard action by a terrorist group who have been under intense pressure from the Nigerian military recently. A statement by the president reassures the international community and Nigerians that the latest attack, which claimed the lives of 2 people, including a 5-year-old baby, would not go without severe consequences. The president stressed further that the security of foreigners and Nigerian citizens remain top priority of government and everything necessary will be done to eliminate these remorseless enemies of humanity. He appeals to all humanitarian and other aid workers in the region to at all times properly coordinate movements with the theatre commander and other military authorities. And still on security, the Force Commander, Multinational Joint Task Force, Major General Ibrahim Manu Yusuf, commends the European and African Unions for enhancing the operational efficiency of the MNJTF through provision of sound logistics. A statement by the Chief of Military Public Information of the Joint Task Force, Colonel Timothy Atinga, indicates that Major General Yusuf gave the commendation at the launching of the quarterly supply of petroleum products in Sector 3, Mugunu, Borno State. The Force Commander notes that the funding by the European Union through the framework of the African Union has supported the Joint Task Force operations in the region. The supply of the products began on June the 25th, 2020. Meanwhile, the Nigerian military says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has destroyed the dwellings of Boko Haram terrorist leaders and neutralized some of their fighters in separate air strikes conducted at Parisu and Kula Bello in the Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. A statement from the Defense Media Operations indicated that the air interdiction missions were executed on the 3rd of July 2020 under Operation Long Reach 2 after intelligence reports indicated a resurgence of terrorist activities in the 2 settlements. Consequently, the Air Task Force dispatched its fighter jets to attack the 2 locations, scoring accurate bomb and rocket strikes, resulting in destruction of some of their structures, as well as the killing of several terrorists. The Defense Headquarters and Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, commended the ATF for the dedication and commended the troop. Now, looking at the economy, building a strong and viable private sector-driven economy is key to addressing the challenges facing the nation's growth. This was the position at a virtual inauguration of the Joint Planning Committee for the 26th Nigeria Economic Summit at the Office of the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Abuja. Chimobi Water Naji tells us more.
For 25 years, the Nigerian Economic Summit has been an opportunity to consider Nigeria's growth indicators and provide suggestions for a new path to encourage national growth. Now, this they have done through various engagements with the private and public sectors. This inauguration, therefore, is to set in motion modalities to ensure proper brainstorming between the government and the private sector to chart a way forward in promoting open governance, empower citizens, and of course, grow the real sector of the economy.
It is our earnest expectation that the outcome of this work and its implementation will keep Nigeria on track to meet the sustainable development goals by 2030 and compete with the giants by 2050.
The Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Clement Agba, at the inauguration said the theme for this year's summit, Building Partnership for Resilience, will explore emerging trends so that Nigeria can capitalize on new opportunities for sustainable growth.
The summit is jointly organized by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. There's no gainsaying the fact that the summit provides a unique opportunity for participants from the public and private sectors to discuss key issues and challenges facing the Nigerian economy, with a view to agreeing on common strategy and policy framework for addressing them.
And this year's summit is scheduled to hold from October 26th to 27th of 2020 in Abuja. Chimubi Walter Naji, NTA News.
Now heading to the courtroom, the Court of Appeal Abuja Division has upheld the election of Governor Yahya Bello at the November 2019 Kogi State Election Petition Tribunal after dismissing the 4 appeals filed against his victory. Obadiah tells us more.
Failure of the Election Tribunal to take cognizance of the submissions that election malpractices took place during the November 16, 2019 Kogi governorship election were the grounds of appeals filed by Musa Wada of the PDP and Natasha Akpoti of the LDP. The appellate court held that despite conducting a forensic examination of the ballot papers, the appellants were unable to prove the allegations. The court subsequently dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit.
Their case was restricted to overvoting and alteration, and the court in the main found that they just dumped documents on the trial tribunal, expecting the court to tie their documents and didn't bring the appropriate witnesses to substantiate their case.
Our clients are not satisfied with the judgment and have right away instructed us to get a copy of the judgment and proceed on appeal to the Supreme Court.
On the appeals by Democratic People's Party and the Action People's Party, the court also affirmed decision of the tribunal that the appellants failed to substantiate their claims.
So now it is the Supreme Court of Nigeria now that will determine whether if it is INEC that determines valid nomination or it is the political party that determines valid nomination. So as far as we are concerned, we thank the Court of Appeal because even though the judgment is against us, but the main issue has been narrowed down.
Justice Adamu Jaro, who led a panel of 5 justices, awarded 100,000 naira costs in favor of the respondents. In Abuja, Obadiah, NTA News.
And in Kano State, cases of missing children is getting attention at the top level of government. The inauguration of a 16-member committee for the implementation of the recommendations of an investigation panel into the kidnap and sale of young children from the state is expected to end the scourge and bring relief to residents in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa reports that Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje gave marching orders to members of the committee to ensure everyone involved gets justice.
Members of the implementation committee were mostly those who served in the investigation panel that worked and gave recommendations on how to ensure justice for the victims and prevent future occurrence of such unfortunate incident. It has as chairman a retired Kano High Court Judge Wada Umar Ranu and membership from community and religious leaders, law enforcement agencies, civil society organizations, and the State Ministry of Justice.
The recommendations of the committee are many, and they require people with experience. And we found it that there are no better people with experience as far as that report is concerned than the same committee that did the investigation.
Will leave no stone unturned in the execution of this assignment.
He appealed for support and cooperation from all stakeholders to ensure successful discharge of the important assignment. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Let's pause here. More reports when we return.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Good to have you back. Now, looking at issues related to the pandemic, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has announced over 500 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. These 544 new cases of COVID-19 recorded from 18 states and the FCT brings the total number of confirmed cases to 28,711 in the country. Of the 544 new cases, Lagos has 199, Ebonyi 65, Oyo 47, Ondo 46, Ogun 31, Edo 30, and FCT has 28 new cases. Katsina also recorded 25 new cases, Plateau 15, Bayelsa 11, Kaduna and Adamawa have 10 new cases each. Akwa Ibom has 8, Gombe 7, Kano 4, Taraba 3, with 2 each in Rivers and Abia states, while Ekiti recorded only 1 case. Lagos still leads the COVID-19 chart in Nigeria with a total of 11,244 cases, followed by the FCT with 2,181 cases, while Oyo comes third with 1,513 cases. There are now 11,665 recovered and discharged COVID-19 patients with 645 deaths on record. Prayer remains a vital tool in seeking divine intervention against any problem, COVID-19 inclusive. That's why the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council, in collaboration with Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN Sokoto, is relentless in its pursuit of an end to the deadly virus. Musa Abubakar has more.
It's an extraordinary prayer session to rid the country of an extraordinary virus that continue to pose threats to lives and livelihoods. While governments continue to intensify efforts to contain COVID-19, this is amongst many congregations cheerleading prayers for swift end to the pandemic.
This is a directive that was passed on to other states, and we are part of the states in the Federation, and we thought it wise to pray. COVID-19 is real, and we believe it is real. And that is why we as ministers, besides praying for an end to this menace, we also encourage our members to adhere strictly to the guidelines given.
Amongst prayer points here is the message for people to take personal responsibility through hand washing, wearing of masks in the public, and stick to health guidelines by the authorities.
COVID-19 shall be a thing of the past generation.
The mood reflects a growing conviction and hope that the new normal will soon come to an end. In Sokoto, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Change my script. The pandemic is one that has had religious bodies in Nigeria worried, and many have turned up faith to combat the global scourge. It is in this regard that Nigeria Inter-Religious Council, in another display of faith, organized national prayers to seek the face of God over the pandemic. Amara Chuko Menka reports that the National Christian Center, where an interdenominational service held yesterday.
The health pandemic, the novel coronavirus, challenges the world in treatment and cure, as available research medication are yet to be certified. The Nigerian Inter-Religious Council believes seeking the face of God in prayers is necessary to eradicate the virus.
The national response that we have put in place is intended to protect the people of Nigeria. It is not designed to afflict us. Government has always been conscious of its responsibility to provide for the good and welfare of the people.
Turn to God only when in the face of danger. God gives us 168 hours a week, 1,440 minutes a day. How much time do we spend in conversation with God?
The church urged faithful and other Nigerians to do away with lip services and rededicate themselves to the service of God and humanity.
So we are calling on God to intervene, because God is more powerful than any virus or any disease.
Of the people is the voice of God. So when we shout on Lord, our good Lord is not deaf.
While this congregation anchors its faith on God for solution to COVID-19, the necessity for Nigerians to strictly adhere to personal hygiene protocol echoed loudly in the service. In Abuja, Omenka Marachuku, NTA News.
And away from religious matters now, the Nigerian Army is intensifying efforts on non-kinetic operations to further improve communication with the public. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Burutai, said this in a message during distribution of COVID-19 palliatives to the people of Kara Namuda in Zamfara State as part of activities marking 2020 Army Day celebration and 157 years anniversary. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
It was a mild interruption of church services while welcoming the Cross River State COVID-19 Task Force team, who is reiterating the need to strictly adhere to safety precautions as regards COVID-19.
Please take responsibility. If you find any signs or symptoms, whether within yourself or someone around you, please immediately go and get tested free of charge.
With the cooperation of the Cross River State branch of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, and some Christian clerics, the message here is that of taking responsibility for your health.
So far, those who have complied are more than those who have not. I think we still need some time. I think we need more effort now. About, I would say, maybe force to make them comply.
Visits like these by the Cross River State COVID-19 Task Force team to places of worship and other public spaces is a regular for the team in Calabar, Okon, Ekpenyong, NTA News.
We do sincerely apologize. The report by Ismail Musa will come much later. That was from Calabar. In other news, rain, and the rains are here. But in parts of the country, particularly in Ogun State, residents in high volume of rainfall and flood-prone areas in Abuja are counting their losses. But their story may soon be changing. But that's if the promise of the former state governor and senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District, Ibukule Amosu, is anything to go by. Okon tells us all about it.
In Abuja, whenever it rains for days, some streets, roads, and people's homes are usually heavily flooded. And when this happens, the roads and streets become impassable, as most have developed potholes and gullies, resulting in heavy traffic congestion for motorists and passengers. The state former governor, Ibukule Amosu, on a tour of the affected areas, expressed sadness for the level of damage. Places he inspected include Temidire, where the only bridge linking Ijeja to Igbore was damaged, Amolasho, and the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, where the perimeter fence was also destroyed. Residents were delighted by his action, noting that the situation could have been worse, but for the good job undertaken by his administration to construct bridges in the various flood-prone areas of the metropolis. Areas like Ijaye, Isale-Ekpenyong, Shokori, usually noted for devastating experiences when rain falls, however, had no serious issue this time. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Now, looking at agriculture, the federal government, through its Ministry of Agriculture, has flagged off 2020 aerial spray against transboundary pests at Yola International Airport in Adamawa State. Simon Ashar reports that the exercise is aimed at protecting farmers' investment for optimal productivity.
Global attention may be shifted to the fight against COVID-19 due to its devastating effect on the society.
The killer birds destroy farm produce and need to be curtailed to enhance food security and sufficiency in the country.
I want to declare open the flag.
These developments necessitate the federal government through the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to officially flag off year 2020 area spray against transboundary pests in Yola as one of the 9 frontline states in the country that is affected by the effect of killer birds on its farming activities.
In Adamawa State, the area spray will be carried out in 9 local government areas. The public is hereby advised to be on the watch out for death birds and to avoid consumption of salt in order to ensure our safety.
With the official flag-off ceremony year 2020 area spray against transboundary pests in Adamawa State so as to enhance hitch-free farming season due to the devastating effect of killer birds. This aircraft, Cessna 172, will be used to mitigate the effect of migratory pests on crop production so as to enhance food security and sustainability in the society.
They normally lay their eggs in taifa grasses or in places that you cannot easily access. That is the essence of using this fixed-wing aircraft. We are not killing all the birds, but the essence is to reduce, to mitigate, to decimate them to a level that they cannot be very, very destructive.
In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
And back to our earlier reports where we told you that the army distributed palliatives to people of Namoda in Zamfara State as part of activities marking the 2020 Army Day celebration. Ismail Musa is ready now with the report.
This symbolic presentation of food items signals the commencement of distribution of palliatives to the people of Namoda in Zamfara State. The beneficiaries say this gesture will cushion the negative effects of coronavirus pandemic on their socio-economic well-being.
The distribution of palliatives to the good people of Namoda, which is part of our civil-military cooperation-related activities and quick impact projects, is taking place simultaneously in various parts of the country in support of the civil populace.
The quick impact projects, the Nigerian Army notes, is in addition to aggressive military operations aimed at securing the area.
The Nigerian Army is leaving no stone unturned in curbing criminal activities and ensuring the general security of the country.
This is also a part of the Nigerian Army's efforts to ensure sustained peace and development, as well as an avenue to appreciate the civil populace for the cooperation with the Nigerian Army over the years.
Similar presentations were made to over 500 people in Faskari, Katsina State. From Namoda in Zamfara State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ismail. Let's now talk a bit of sports. Super Eagles tipped to qualify for 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Tamara Ibiwe will tell us more.